you have to be real with yourself to a point where you create so that you can inspire other people. But if other people don't care, it's totally fine. You got to be totally content with creating just for the matter of creating because you love it.
Yo, what is good, creatives? Welcome to the Create to Inspire Corner, where I, your host, H.E.A.L, interview creatives from around the world, welcome to share their stories to give you some of the creative inspo you need so you can go on and create to inspire in your own community. And today's topic is all about using creativity and vulnerability to heal. But before we get into today's episode, I want to give a huge shout out to a special friend of mine and today's sponsor, Julian, for hooking us up with this awesome microphone to help increase the audio and sound quality of our show. We want to support Create to Inspire, our mission and our movement of sharing the inspiring stories of artists around the world. Even small gestures like liking this video, commenting below, and subscribing to our channel makes a big difference. Anyways, let's get right into the interview. Today's featured creative is a musician and songwriter. His name is Isaac, and he goes by the name of IRG. And today, you're not only going to get to hear about his story, his music, and his passions, also going to be talking with him about his viewpoints on the relationship between creativity and vulnerability, and how he uses his music to heal and inspire. Anyways, get right into it. Isaac, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming to the corner.
Oh man, thank you so much. I'm doing well, and I just can't complain. I can't complain. Everything's been going really well.
Sounds good, man. So first off, can you tell us a little about yourself and your passions, what you like to create? And I'll mention a little bit, but can you kind of give us a little more of the 360 view, what you're up to?
Yeah, no, I guess passions, it's all the way from, soccer to music to networking to watching movies, all different things like that. I just, I love film. I love music. Like I said, I like making music. I like listening to music. I like leading people in creative aspects and helping bring, multiple crafts together to make one big project. That's one of the biggest things that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. Can you actually tell us a little bit more about, your music story? How did you discover your music? When did you first know that, okay, this is something that I want to do, this is something that I want to embrace?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I just I never really been musically gifted as a child, I would say. You know what I mean? It wasn't something like I knew from an early age I just wanted to make music. It wasn't like that at all. Like like a lot of other kids, I was in the elementary school band, type thing, and I played clarinet and all this. But like I played for like only 2 years, and I forgot everything about it. I forgot all the sheet music that I learned for it, all the different stuff like that. But I think I really came to music after, being in a dark place. So I wasn't in a dark place. I graduated college in 2015 or high school in 2015. And then I went to a university called Millersville University. It's a state school, and it's good for people who want to be teachers and stuff like that. It's really, really good in Pennsylvania. Just like the culture though wasn't the best for me. It just wasn't a good culture for me to be in. And I felt very, very alone, and especially in my faith. And because of that, like I transferred out and I went to a Christian Bible school, which is called Lancaster Bible. But through that transition is where I found music, because I really noticed that I had like a direction with my life of the career I wanted, but I didn't have like an outlet for like a creative outlet, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get involved with the church. I wanted to help in some type of way, shape, or form. But I also wanted to have something where if I come home after a long day, I can just dive into something that will take my mind off of anything else. And music was that for me. Some people it's soccer, some people it's basketball, some people it's video editing, or you know what I mean? But for me, it was music. And it wasn't music in a sense of like go home, play the guitar, or go home, play the piano. It was from a sense of I really was attracted to like Logic Pro X and like different types of DAWs, and doing like watching YouTube videos on how to create beats and how to sing and do all these different things. But all from my computer. You know what I mean? I wanted to just learn MIDI, and I wanted to do everything from my computer. I didn't want to have to go to guitar lessons every Wednesday and pay 20, you know what I mean? And pay $20. Like I wasn't trying to do that. I just wanted something that I could even just open GarageBand and just do it on my own. And that would be my form of therapy. So that's what it started out as in 2017. And then in 2018, the beginning of 2018 is when I started to actually be like, okay, maybe like I'm getting better at this every day. I can start releasing some music. So I started releasing just singles after single after single. And then my first track that actually kind of had some buzz around it was Pick Up the Phone, which I think it has like around 120K streams on Spotify. So that kind of got me to a point where it's like, oh, wow, like I can actually make something that a lot of people are vibing with. It's not just like falling on deaf ears. Mm-hmm. So that gave me a push to take it a lot more seriously. And then I put out a song in 2018, I believe, called New Jersey, which then that is like my biggest song. It's almost at 500K streams right now on Spotify. And that was probably my best written track to date. And it shows obviously from the numbers, and but yeah, so and from that on, it just every day I keep taking it more and more seriously, and I was able to kind of turn this into like a legitimate side hustle where it's actually bringing in some money that it's like another form of revenue, and I'm just building on top of it, and like I said, it's not all about the numbers, not all about the money or anything like that, but having that stuff helps justify me pouring more into it, and seeing the return of investment in a sense helps me to justify, okay, like I can allocate this and I can invest in this craft because it's showing that like it's prospering, it's growing, so I'm sure that in your own way, shape, and form for your craft and what you do and your interviews and everything, the more you put into it, the more that comes out of it and the more that it grows. So then that's kind of where it's been taking off lately.
Definitely. So yeah, something that else you put into, I know your latest album, Too Much to Type, but that was a great album. Can you tell us a little about that album, what inspired it, and kind of the story behind it?
Yeah. Thank you again for listening and loving it, because that was me and Christian, we put our whole heart and soul into that, and Zach as well. So basically it was when everything started to take off and I started putting I put New Jersey out there, and that started to get a lot of buzz. I started to get a lot more networking connections, people hitting me up, reaching out to me. And one of the people that reached out to me was Christian. Yeah, so Christian, me and him, he really started liking my music a lot, and I liked his, and we were like, man, we should work on something together. And a long time ago, or not a long time ago, but I can't remember when, but I don't know if you're familiar with Devin Terrell or Futuristic. So yeah, they're two rappers basically. Futuristic made a song with NF called Epiphany, and then Devin Terrell is like a big YouTube guy that just kind of like, this is, if you want to know how to do this on Logic Pro X, this is how you do it. You know what I mean? And he does a lot of tutorials, and he also puts out a lot of his own music too. Yeah, so basically they made like a collab album together, and it was just them too. And me and Christian had a vision to do the same thing, but we wanted to do on Too Much to Type. And then Zach was the executive producer on that. He did a lot of production on that. So that's why you see all of our three names listed on for Too Much to Type. So what happened was, for when we first started working on it, Christian came down by himself for a whole week, and we pretty much just locked ourselves in my room and we just worked on music for a whole week. And we probably got about half of the album done. And then he left. He flew up from South Carolina to do this. And then he left after that. And then we kind of just were working as best as we could online. And then he came back up with Zach for another whole week. And this was actually during like right in the beginning of COVID. And when we did the same thing, we just locked ourselves in the room for like a week, and we just worked on music and we finished it up. So it was like a 2-week process for like working on it 12 hours a day, and it was perfect because I was in college and there was not really, and I think there wasn't any really responsibilities, and especially with like COVID that came, the pandemic, and everyone was stuck at home, it kind of just worked out. So the time wasn't an issue, but and we did that. We did a lot of, and we recorded the whole process too. We recorded it and put it all on YouTube. So it was like a 40-minute documentary of just those 2 weeks put together. So we like had like, I don't even know how many hours of footage we had. We had like almost 50 hours of footage, and we just cut it down to 40 minutes. It was crazy. But it was a really intense project, and it took a lot out of us, and we butted heads sometimes, but it really worked out, and it made me realize, it really is difficult to work with anyone for that long. You know what I mean? It's not just him or me. It was just difficult to work with, but because there's certain ways that they make music that I don't make music in, and there's some ways I do things that they don't do it. And it made us clash, but in a good way. So we were able to work through these obstacles, and I'm a better musician for it now, an artist.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I checked out the documentary that you guys recorded. It was cool seeing you guys collaborate and kind of seeing kind of the behind the scenes of the project and everything. Can you tell me about the title, Too Much to Type? What's kind of the energy behind that name? What made you choose that name for the album, or you guys?
Yeah, it was more so just like, so we all struggle with different things. And, like, for example, at least from a lyrical standpoint, I struggle with a lot of anxiety. Christian struggles with a lot of depression. That's kind of like, and that kind of morphed into Too Much to Type, because it was like, it's too much just to type in a text, and you can't just do that. We had to take 7 songs and really just put it all out there. It was too much just to type in a single text to someone, so that's kind of our vision for it.
Yeah, one thing I liked about your music, and especially this album, is how you guys talk about a lot of the topics that it can be easy to kind of want to ignore sometimes, like you mentioned, depression, anxiety, all that stuff. But I want to ask you, another thing that I saw though was a hope in the music, that we're going through this stuff. We are feeling this way, but there's a hope and a sense of healing that can be brought about. And I want to ask you, how have you seen the relationship of music and healing? Have they played a role with each other in your life?
So with music and healing, it, like, at least for me, like I said before, it was more of it started off as like a form of therapy and a form of like an escape to get away from just the things that were just too much for me to handle. So it was like, and if I didn't have that like release of just like, let me just go lock myself in the room for an hour and just work on music. If I didn't have that, I'd go and sing, so that from that, it was like more of a therapy. But like, as of now, it kind of turned into like almost a necessity, like water. It's like, I don't feel like I'm productive in my day if I don't do something regarding music, even if it's just for 5 minutes. It's just something that's always like, okay, that decision can make me move more and more in the right direction of where I want to take this in the future. So it's turned more in like, from a healing aspect, I guess it's made me find a purpose in some aspect of things, which is a lot of people struggle with the anxiety of like, what's my purpose? Why am I here on this earth? Why am I here in this world? And what am I supposed to do with my life? For me, it's given me a purpose, not my whole purpose for my life, but definitely it's given me a direction I can go with my free time. A lot of people, like, they find purpose with their day job, and that's perfect. But then they come home and they, just every evening so they eat and then they watch Netflix. You know what I mean? Which is fine, but that's not like, I don't think that's what God's called us to do. It's not an issue to do that every once in a while, but there's a bigger purpose that we're called to, and for us to be better stewards of our time, and I think that this has kind of filled that void for me in a fun way, to like, I'm not just filling it because, God's called me to fill it, with something and it's going to be boring. No, it's like a fun thing that I filled it with, and I can use it to glorify him. So that's how I view it.
I love it, man. So kind of relating to the concept of healing, filling that void, like you said, an exciting and fun way, I put together kind of a H.E.A.L acronym that can kind of help us to dive more into this topic. Because I know there's a lot of people, have that same mindset, music is a form of, healing for them, it's a therapy for them. I really wanted to dive more into that topic with you. And so starting off with the H.E.A.L acronym, the first one is H.
Lately I'm feeling